I had my Easter bunny the other night.
Did you have
I
Easter?
did.
Was it nice?
Yeah, I ate it all in one go.
Have you? I've still got mine.
Do you know what? Last week in Morrison's, they had the 60% ash.
60% what?
Lint, dark, bunny.
Oh, no, I'm not a fan of dark.
Oh my God. I gave it to...
I love my dark.
It's so thick. The chocolate in them are really thick, aren't they?
Yeah, so thick, yeah.
The base bit, where the
Yeah.
when it comes round,
It's like an inch
you
deep.
can't even bite
No,
it.
you can't.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. Three guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.
You seem very chill today. Got something on your mind? You seem a little bit not yourself this morning, if I may say so.
I've not been the same since I got back from Spain, to be honest.
Okay, do you want to go into it? I mean, that's what we're here for.
It's good to talk.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think we need to get it out on the table.
Well, if I could,
But it's not.
put my finger on what it might be, I don't know.
Well, let's open up then.
I don't know.
Since you got back, or
Well, the
you carried it with you on the way?
The first couple of days were pretty difficult. I don't know, and I don't know why. I mean,
In what way?
I think coming back from being away, sometimes I feel that when I go away, I'm leaving Anne behind here.
Okay.
And so when I come back, it's nice to come back, but I feel then that I've, kind of start thinking more about her and stuff. And for a couple of days, certainly first day when I got back, I was pretty down, quite teary most of the day. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I was thinking about her a lot.
Was this when you come back from Valencia?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Because you weren't, sorry to interrupt, but you weren't like that when you came back from your house, your apartment.
No, I wasn't. But then who knows why? There are different times of the year or whatever and stuff.
Do you think it could be? Have you ever been to Valencia?
No, I think I'll tell you what I think it might be.
Would Anne have liked Valencia?
Well, I think that when I was there, I didn't really have a great deal of interest in the touristy kind of aspects of it. And what I also did was that being there reminded me that the kind of stuff that tourist people do and stuff, we used to do that, but it was the two of us doing it. And I missed that. But I have it was a constant reminder when I see, as you do, lots of couples, walking around and stuff like that. So it was a reminder that what I used to do, I can't, and I'm not able to do that anymore because that person's not here. So that was a reminder. Going to Conil is not the same because,
Because Anne's there.
It's
Because
there.
she's been there, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's been there.
And I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, just picking it up on it. Because I would be exactly the same, because you've got tons and tons of happy memories.
Memories of it.
And you would be thinking, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
you're in Valencia, you'll go, subconsciously be thinking, oh, Anne would love that, or Anne would look,
Yeah.
and that's where you'd start to feel a little bit withdrawn,
Yeah.
is that you would probably feel guilty that you are experiencing this,
Yeah.
and Anne's not.
Yes. And I don't want to kind of overemphasize the intensity of that, but if you think about, having been with that person for 50 years and we did everything together, and all of a sudden I'm not doing that. And that, it's literally that person that was at the side of me is no longer there.
Yeah.
And that's so that's a reminder. It's a reminder of loss.
It's really interesting you said that. You did everything together for 50 years.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's sends shivers down my spine, because I've just come away with a mate of mine, and I do it every year. for the last 10 years, I've been away without Lisa. Once, twice, 3 times a year sometimes.
Yeah.
And she knows that I need that. I need the silliness. I need the lads. Lads don't grow up. We don't. We're always little boys. We just are. And that's part and parcel of it. And I think if you haven't done that, I can empathise with what you're feeling. But because I do things that Lisa wouldn't experience, that I've just done with Mappy.
Yeah.
But, we'll be going there again in July. We'll have a totally different 4 days away than what we've just done, me and Mappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I partition those different experiences.
Yeah.
But Ash, if you've never experienced that, I totally see where you're coming from.
The other thing that I think was different when I got back was that there was nobody else in the house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right. So I wasn't distracted.
So where was Junior then?
He was in London.
Right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you did mention that, didn't you? Yeah.
So I didn't have anybody here, and that meant that I had more time to reflect and think. So, but we also, if you want me to talk about it, I can talk about our trip to Ireland. Part of the reason that we went to Ireland back at the beginning of April was that it was a place that was very important to Anne. She was very proud of her heritage, being from an Irish family and Irish parents. And her mother was born in Donegal. And when it came to deciding what we would do with her ashes, we decided that because she visited there every summer virtually right up until the age of 16 with her siblings and her mum. That was the summer. And you can imagine, being away from school, being away from Willenhall in Coventry, which isn't a terrible place, but
it's not the greatest, is it? Let's be honest.
So being away from Coventry in this wonderful part of Ireland in Donegal must have given them such an amazing lift. And I think in terms of memories, that would be something that would stay with you forever. And so they did that right up until they were 16. And so we thought that would be a great place to scatter her ashes. So we went. So 10 of us went off to Ireland, 4 siblings, my boys, Venetia, Ben, etc. And we hired 2 cars and off we went to Donegal to do this set. And we went through Belfast when we first arrived.
Okay.
Just to kind of, take it in.
Have you been to Belfast before?
Yes. The last time I was in Belfast, before that, the first time that I was in Belfast was in 1975.
Middle of the Troubles,
going through checkpoints to get from Belfast into the Republic. 2 white girls and a brown man driving through Belfast in 1975, right? And
with what? Was it an Irish car or it wouldn't be?
No, it's a car from here.
So you were driving an English number plate car?
Yeah.
Wow.
Through Belfast.
Brave.
So we went round, we wanted to do a bit of a look around at Belfast. So we went to see the murals because there's loads.
It's an amazing city.
Amazing.
I love Belfast.
So we went through and we went to the Catholic side and, saw all the murals and stuff. They did a taxi tour, but we didn't do that. Kath just looked at all the places that you can go to. And we just drove around there, did 2 minutes, did some photographs and what's it. One thing that we noticed quite a lot in the Catholic side was that there was lots of references to the support for Palestine. Right?
Interesting.
Right? Because there's a connection, in terms of the struggles that
oppression,
the Palestinians and all the rest of it. But there was a lot, and I was quite surprised
in Belfast,
in the Catholic areas.
I never went to the Catholic part.
Okay,
because we were there for the Orange Day parade.
Ah,
so Isabel's mum is a very, very staunch Protestant, and she wanted to go
Okay.
she was born on the Shankill Road,
Okay.
and she wanted to go to the Orange Day Parade. So we went over there, and of course, if you got two British people during the Orange Day Parade, going into the Catholic part of Belfast is probably not
the thing to
do. So we definitely stayed on the British side of it.
So we saw a lot of murals, a lot of support for Palestine, and a lot of kind of murals as well associated with Palestine, which you can see that here. You can't see that here, but there'll be people obviously who do support the Palestine cause, etc., Palestinians' cause, etc. But you don't get this kind of murals and graffiti and stuff like that. But you do there because they do see that real connection. But the interesting thing was that when you go to the Protestant side, which is what we did as well, to see murals on that side, there was an amazing amount of murals in support of Israel.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's
the Star of
really
David, the whole thing. It was massive, and I just thought that was interesting in a sense, because you don't see that kind of overt support and graphically demonstrated in the way that you would do here. The reason I'm telling you this is that it will come clear later.
Okay.
There's so we did that, and then we travelled over to Donegal, which was a place that we've been to before. I first went there back in 1975, the first time that Anne and I went there together, and her family were there, her mum and the children were there as well. They worked there, so we had a great time. It was a very drunken time in the mid 70s in that place, but I felt that being there was very important anyway because of what she went through, and because we wanted to scatter the ashes. So we decided that we'd go to the pier in Donegal Bay to scatter the ashes, and we arrived there very early. And before the rest of the family arrived, I met this guy who just happened to be on the pier, and I started chatting to him. And after a little while, I said to him, "Look, the reason I'm here is that I want to scatter some ashes for my wife. And I just wondered whether you thought that might be a problem, because I didn't know whether to ask for permission." And so he said, "No, it'd be no problem." He said, "You'll be fine," in an Irish accent.
Which you didn't put on.
Which I didn't want to put on. And he said, "No, that'd be fine." He said, "I did that same thing for my wife 7 years ago." I said, "What, you scattered the ashes here, did you?" He said, No. He said, "We went to Slieve League." So Slieve League is around the coast slightly, and they are the tallest cliffs in Europe. Right. The tallest cliffs in Europe. And you have two ways of getting to it. One is you get on a boat, which we did when we were there. You get on a boat and you travel around the coast and you see the cliffs, massive, huge, amazing, right? Or the other way to do it is that you drive up to the top of the cliffs and walk up a little bit. So he said, that's where we scattered the ashes. He said, but we did the wrong thing. He said, we scattered the ashes and they just came straight back.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, you're mad. I said, every time I read anything to do with scattering ashes, the one thing that they say is just look at which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So going on from that, so we had a great time. I mean, we were 10 of us. We had a great time. We ate, drank, did lots of walking and went to the Giant's Causeway and all that kind of stuff. It was a really good 4 days, and the weather was amazing. It's like Donegal. It was like what it is like today. It was like that for 4 days, and it's never, whenever we've been before, never been like that at all. So the weather was pretty amazing. But one thing that I'd done some time ago for Anne's family is I've done some ancestry work for them, right? And so, are you okay with this? You okay with this?
I'm just engaging.
I'm just falling asleep. No. So I did some ancestry stuff for them, and so when you see the census for 1911, you can see the dwelling that the family lived in, and I'm looking at a list where you've got the parents and you've got 9 siblings, right? This is Anne's granddad's family, right? So it's all his siblings and his parents, 1901, 1911. And I know Drumkeeling is the place where the house was, right? And when you look at it on the map, it's just completely out of the way. It's nothing around it whatsoever. And just reading that list, I'm beginning to conjure up images of 9 kids in a home, in a family home, in this kind of isolated location. And I'm just imagining this. You do, don't you? I mean, you can think, well, what kind of life did they have?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so when we were there, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could find this place, the home? And I had no idea whether we could or not. It didn't matter, right? Even if we just arrived at somewhere that was called Drumkeeling and you had a look around and you got a feel for what people would live like in those days. Mind you, it was a bit difficult because the weather was fucking amazing, right? But you wouldn't get that normally. Wouldn't it be great if it did? So we were starting to talk to this guy, Tony, who happened to be a family friend. And he said, the house is still there. And I thought, really? Nice.
Wow.
He said, the house is still there. He said, it might be closed up or whatever, but there'll be people around and somebody might be able to, show you around or whatever. So I thought, well, why don't we give it a go? So we drove out, two cars, 5 in each. We drove out to this place and it literally was completely isolated. I mean, you'd have to walk several hours to get to somewhere with some kind of, life, civilization. Anyway, so we arrive at this place and up the lane, there is a house at the bottom of this lane, right? So me and one of my sister-in-laws, we kind of walked up to this house and there was nothing going on. It was, the windows were, kind of open, not open, but you could see.
How big was the house?
It was a 2-story. And I don't know. I mean, it wasn't huge.
Oh, right.
It wasn't.
I'm just trying to get a picture of 9.
Yeah.
Plus the parents.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't do good on a podcast, but I'll show you later what it looks like.
Yeah.
And so we walked up to it and we thought, well, it seems to be closed up and stuff. We're not going to get much here. But then I saw a light in the window. Right. And I thought, so I said to Kath, I said, there's a light in the window. She darted off. She thought, I'm going to hang around. And I kind of looked to the window and I thought, holy shit. Anyway, so I hung around for a bit. And then this guy came from behind one of the buildings. And I thought, oh my God. I thought, listen, I'm really sorry. I said, we're here. I'll explain who we are. I'm with the descendants of the Monaghan family, right? And we just thought that this was the house that the family lived in. And I hope you don't mind. And he said, well, that's okay. He said, I don't mind. He said, I'm Brian Monaghan.
That's incredible.
And he's like 45, and he said, "So I'm a descendant of one of those siblings of the 9.
Yeah,
he's a descendant of one of those siblings. So he would have been Anne's granddad's sister,
brother.
No, not Brian. His mother or grandmother,
right?
Was
were they all girls? Were they?
No, they weren't. But his particular
line
was
lineage
from Anne's granddad's sister.
Gotcha. Right.
So he would have been Anne's cousin along the way, essentially,
but younger. No, because Anne was my age.
Yeah,
he's like 45.
Yeah, but it would still be a second cousin or something.
Well, there definite link.
Yeah,
definite link. So I thought, amazing. So we started having a chat and I said, well, tell me what it was like. What would it have been like here? I said, how did the family survive? Well, I knew they were stonemasons, right? So he says they were stonemasons. And he said, if you walk down the lane there, you'll see the quarry. So there's this huge quarry.
That's where they got their materials
from. They cut their stone from. He said they supplied and did all the headstones for all the cemeteries, local graveyards around, and they also used the stone to build the dry walls in between their fields and that kind of stuff. And I said, so did the family survive being stonemasons? And he said no. He said that wasn't enough, so they had to farm. to some degree. So they had some cows and stuff like that. Would you like to have a look inside? Would we?
Yeah.
So we opened the doors up, and then the rest of the family came, and we all kind of had a good look around, and that was amazing.
I thought you said at the beginning it's a bit of a ruin.
I didn't say it was a ruin. I just said it looked empty.
Okay, so the windows were still intact.
The window was still intact.
Okay.
And as it happens, when we went inside, his sister was using it. She'd got a big a thing to weave.
Oh yeah.
I forget what it called it now.
A weaver
Machine.
A weaving machine.
A tweed thingy machine.
Yeah.
And so we was using that, but he showed us around, and there was photographs in there, there were books in there, things like that. And that really got me going, because it was like you could now imagine what it could be like in those years ago.
Yeah.
And the conditions in terms of the isolation of it. And if you know the climate in Donegal, it wouldn't be pleasant at all.
Yeah.
It's interesting because very quickly, somebody said on the radio the other day, 50 years ago, something like that. I think it must be more than that. He must have got this wrong. But he said, we take for granted hot water.
Yeah.
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 As simple as that.
Yeah.
So you imagine 19 furs.
Yeah.
Anything that has to be done takes time.
Yeah.
No, I spoke to somebody the other day. We were talking
about the water and everything.
Yeah, we were talking about, because it was the VE Day celebrations, and I was talking to one of my customers who, was alive and can remember, and we were talking about things like that. And her dad worked she was from Staffordshire, and her dad worked in the coal mines, and would come home, and there wasn't hot water. It's sort of
yeah.
That's not that long ago, is it?
No.
Sorry, Ash.
Back to you, mate.
All right, if you want me to. So this was great. I mean, I kind of, and it was commented on. I seem to be more interested in this kind of family history than the rest of the family were.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was just me being nerdy about it. But anyway, it was really interesting. Anyway, so we chat. And then he says, but this wasn't the original house.
So not the one from 1901?
Yeah.
Right. So you've got all nostalgic and you're in the wrong house?
Not the original house.
Right.
So he's on the same foundations?
No.
Oh.
So he said the
the
original house is down the lane.
Right.
Right. He said, but the original house was burnt down by the Black and Tans.
Right.
In the mid-1920s.
Right.
So the Black and Tans being Catholic or Protestant?
No.
I don't know.
So the Black and Tans, this was during the time of the Irish War for Independence from British rule.
Right.
And the Black and Tans were a police force.
Right.
Which were recruited from people, soldiers who had fought in the First World War. So they were hardened, well-seasoned people, men that were recruited to be part of the police force,
right,
in Ireland, and their role was to put down resistance from the Irish community, and their reputation was quite ferocious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did things that you wouldn't want them to do, and so they burnt down. Now they burnt down the house because they were Irish, but they were also Irish Republicans.
Yeah,
as you would expect, because it's a war of independence. They're not IRA kind of years and what you assume to be in the 70s and stuff. But they were kind of army and community that were fighting to extricate themselves from
self-governing, really
self-governing, self-determination.
Yeah.
So anybody and pretty much everybody were sympathizers in those days.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's what had happened. They'd burnt it down. And so they had to move into this house in the mid-1920s. So the story of, I mean, the thing about it is it just gave a real kind of, feel for
a connection.
Yeah. And what our purpose of doing what I did was partly for my own interest, but I also felt that it would be nice for the boys to have a connection to it, because what we don't, I know they look brown and they, they seem to therefore have more of my side of their kind of heritage, but actually they've got a full half of them, which is Irish.
So they can get an Irish passport.
They already have Irish passports.
Right.
As soon as breakfast was on the cards, I got
Breakfast.
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 Did I say that?
As soon as breakfast was on, he's always about
How many
food.
people have said that when they talk about Brexit?
Breakfast.
Yeah,
I've never heard anyone say breakfast.
Yeah, accidentally say Brexit instead of saying Brexit, call it breakfast.
Never.
Oh yeah, all the time.
No,
Yeah, it's all the time.
It'll be on our lips every
All
month
the
to
time.
say Brexit.
Yeah.
Do you
So-
want some Weet-Bix?
So as soon as breakfast was on the
Cornflakes?
cards,
Oh, you mean Brexit? No,
Yeah.
no, man, about breakfast.
we got the Irish passports.
Brilliant. Because
So-
it's so, when you go into the airport now, you do not feel like you're a second-class
It's
citizen.
different now, isn't it? Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
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 I'm going in that long queue. No, I want to go in that little queue. There's only 6 people in there. Have you got an EU passport? No. Have you got an Irish passport? No. Well, then you can't go in.
No.
So it was trying to give them some connection, and I think now they love being there, and they're now starting to talk about going back again with as a group of cousins.
That's lovely.
There's 5 of them to go back and spend more time there. So I wanted that connection, and I wanted that kind of heritage thing for them to feel as part of that. So that's one aspect of it. So talking about this week now. So earlier in the week, I watched the Who Do You Think You Are for Michelle Hussein.
Watch that one.
So I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but I love Michelle Hussein. I think she is the most amazing journalist, the most effective interviewer that I've ever heard.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll send you a clip because she did an interview with James Cleverly, and it's the most funniest. But she's calm and completely straight down the line. But she's amazing, and so I already have a fondness for her. I said to watch this was amazing. So she's from Pakistani heritage.
Which is relevant at the moment.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
going on?
Okay.
Yeah. We
But
won't go down that.
both her parents are from Pakistan, and so she's kind of beginning to start looking at her heritage, and she notices at one point that her great grandfather was called Thomas Quinn.
He went from Donegal as well, was he?
No.
Oh.
No, don't jump. Don't. It's right for you to jump to a conclusion, but not that
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, that one. So Thomas Quinn was her, and I don't want to tell you too much because it'll spoil it for you. And so, of course, she then goes off to India and Pakistan to understand where her family came from and so on. And there is a massive, massive twist in terms of where she goes in terms of her heritage. And there is that Thomas Quinn is a connection, obviously, because and I was thinking, well, it isn't unusual, when you go to India, and as much as you see India as a kind of like the subcontinent, and it's it is what it is, but actually it's had the French, it's had the Portuguese, it's had the British, it's had the Persians, it has the mix.
Yeah.
Even there must be pretty
The
interesting.
diverse
Yeah.
nature.
Nature of it.
Yeah.
And so having heard what she had discovered from that, I also have this kind of feeling, and I've mentioned maybe this to you before, that the state of Gujarat where we come from not only has massive emigration to East Africa, South Africa, which is where half of my parents' families are from.
Mm-hmm.
So my mother was born in South Africa, and all her family are in South Africa, whereas my dad's were in India.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got that connection and that kind of migration and all the rest of it. But you've also got migration the other way. So in the state of Gujarat, there was a group of religious sect called the Zoroastrians who used to be in Persia.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 7th century, they were expelled from Persia.
Right.
And they traveled across the Persian Gulf and landed on the coast of Gujarat.
Right.
Right. There's a little story behind that, if you don't mind me telling you very briefly. So the story behind that is that the Zoroastrians arrive on the coast of Gujarat. And the Gujarat leaders say, we don't need you here, right? We're full. we don't want you here. And the guys from the Zoroastrian leader says, well, actually, we're not here to kind of, overflow and take over or whatever. He said, let me explain. So he said, get me a flask of milk and fill it to the top. Right? So the guys get him a flask of milk, fills it to the top. So he gets the milk and he gets spoonfuls of sugar and he pours it into the milk. Right? And he said, if you look at that, the milk hasn't overflowed, right? So we're not here to that. What we're here to do is to sweeten what you already have here.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Nice analogy.
Right? And to be part of your community, but to enhance it and to whatever. And that was the so long story short, the Parsi community, which is the Zoroastrians, is now and has been for the last 1400 years part of the state of Gujarat and also part of other parts of India.
Yeah.
So you can imagine me being from Gujarat, being, after 1400, you can't tell me there's not been a mix, right, of cultures, of individuals, etc., etc. So having taken Michelle Hussein's program and this kind of idea that I had, I applied this week to have my DNA tested.
See, I told you.
What are we going to find out?
So people say, well, how accurate is it? I don't.
Viking in. Got some Longhorn. I reckon we've all got a bit of Viking in us.
Yeah.
This is bizarre that you've... So when did you make this decision?
About 3 nights ago.
And what were we talking about last Sunday when we went for a walk? DNA tests. Talking about the heritage, because how did our conversation start? That was
I was talking about methylation tests.
Right.
I said that you can have these tests now.
Well, is that to see how much alcohol there is?
No, it's basically you take us. So I was on the DNS database, which is for people who want bone marrow donation.
Oh, I see.
So
Anthony
Nolan, I want to be a donator.
Yeah,
to one, right? And you do a mouth swab, and that goes off, and then they keep that on register. And if somebody comes in who's a perfect match to you, then you go down. Doesn't mean you're going to be a perfect match. Doesn't mean you're going to be selected. Just basically means if you wish, you then start the process of going through a load of tests to see if you are a suitable match.
Yeah.
But what they're now doing as part of the same process is what you've done for DNA, but they're also doing it for deficiencies. Yeah. So what they're saying is you can do a test now and it will say that you have to be careful on how much potassium you have. You need to up your calcium, you need to up your iron. So it's more in depth, because I've just come back, I just had my results before I came back. I had my MOT from the doctor, so you do your blood test. Okay. People think they go to the and they have that and they get the results back and it all comes back okie dokie, you're fine. Well, no, you're not. That's a very, very narrow test. What you're doing is a very extensive test. And these other tests that you can now pay for, it's about 450 quid, is of a chemical analysis of your body. So what your body can absorb, what your body copes with. So things like pepper. Pepper could be an inflammatory for you. So you don't do your pepper. Yeah.
It's paprika for him.
Paprika or curry.
Yeah.
Chili.
Anything.
All that stuff. Yeah. So that's what you can do. So I'd be interested to see how long does it take for it to come back?
Well, I haven't had the kit yet.
Right.
But once it comes, I think it's...
Is it saliva or is it blood?
Saliva.
It is saliva, yeah. Okay.
But so somebody that I spoke to about this said, oh, well, maybe you should try and look for a service that's kind of more Indian focused, right? And so she sent me a link to a place in India, and I looked at it and I thought, I'm sure it's okay, but I really don't trust it.
No,
and that's just me being,
racist.
Yeah,
and you're allowed to be, by the way.
Yeah. But I know, and yeah, I just know that it's not something that you can beat. totally trusting it. So anyway, I then looked at what would be the top 5 services that can provide you with this. They're accurate, not accurate, but
near enough.
Near enough. The top one was Ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
But all of my genealogy stuff that I've done is with Ancestry as well.
So that makes.
By the way, some people say that it's not that accurate, and it's, I don't care. I really don't care. I just want a narrative. I just want a story to tell. Whatever comes of it, I'll have a story to tell.
You have a joke before, don't you?
Go on.
Maharaja, aren't he? He'll come here and he'll be dressed up like a bloody Maharaja.
We'll have the sitar.
But a bit of Maharaja in him as well.
We had the sitar music going
and he'll be
on.
all, excuse these, my servants.
Yeah.
They're just going to talk. And he'll be all dressed in all his regalia,
Yeah.
his gold and all that. There'll be a tiger prance in the back of the garden.
Oh, love it.
Go on, describe that more. Oh, I like that.
So how's it going to take? Once you've sent the pack off,
Yeah.
because we've got a podcast, and I think we should do one
Would you be prepared to reveal
live
Yeah, absolutely.
with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
and it'll be Ash podcast,
Yeah.
the
What?
grand
Reveal of his heritage.
of his heritage. Yeah,
So Aidan said that he would like to do his, which first,
Hold on. Oh, no, because that would be... Sorry, I was about to say, if you do yours, then
it won't be the same.
it won't be the same, will it? Because you've got the other half.
which is the immediate thought that I had. And I thought, well, hang on a minute, it ain't going to be very far from what I've got.
No, it will be half of what you've got.
Exactly. And apparently...
It'd be less than that.
Apparently, your heritage mix isn't necessarily 50-50.
No.
It could be one stronger than the other.
Well, they reckon the reason you become a male is the male gene was stronger than the female gene when you're being created.
The male gene is stronger than the female.
Yeah, so that's when you become a boy. If the female gene is stronger than the male gene, that's when you become a girl.
Yeah, I've heard something along those lines. Yeah.
I don't know if that's truthful or not, but that's what I heard.
So there is something along those.
Like,
yeah. I spoke to my mum the other day, and this was fascinating. And it was something, it just came up. I know, obviously, you were talking about, obviously what gender things are. And so obviously the baby, for example, it's definitely going to have brown eyes, because Charlie's got brown eyes, I've got brown eyes. Right?
Well, it doesn't actually work like that.
Yeah, I think with
My
brown,
dad's got blue eyes. My mum's got brown eyes.
Right.
And I'm a son. Right?
Yeah.
So the male gene was stronger than the female gene. But I've got brown eyes.
Yeah, but brown is the dominant
Every
eye
baby's
colour.
born with blue eyes.
Yeah, but isn't brown the dominant colour anyway in everything?
I think
Generally.
I'm not sure, but
Generally.
I'd like blue eyes, personally.
You like blue eyes. I like brown eyes.
I would like blue eyes. Blue eyes with my skin colour and your skin colour would have been a wow factor. Forget your smile. They would have turned around and gone,
Should we get some contact lenses?
have you seen him?
Should we get some contact lenses?
Blue eyes.
You can get contacts that change the colour of your eyes.
That just freaks me out. It's like having surgery on your eyes. One slip. If he's been on the pot the night before and he cuts your cornea, you're finished. There's no getting out of jail with that one, my friend.
Oh, man. No, that's true. That's true.
No, you ain't messing with my eyes.
No, fair enough.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I mean, if I was going to do that, I'd probably have tigers.
Tiger eyes. Right. Okay. I mean, you're right.
Because that would be have you seen that bloke's eyes? Cat's eyes. You know what cat's eyes?
Yeah. You mean like with like the narrow slit of a pupil?
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called, that bit.
You know, you have your glasses on in the sunshine. You meet someone for the very first time. You're on a date.
Yeah.
You've had a dating app. You've gone on really well. You've got 9 out of 10 each.
Yeah.
You meet in a bar.
Yeah.
It's a sunny afternoon.
Yeah.
She's sitting there gloriously, absolutely stunning.
You're painting this picture well.
And you walk in, instant attraction. You take your glasses off. You got cat's eyes.
Yeah. I mean,
how would that go?
Well, one way or the other. Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez. And then she takes her glasses off, and she's the same. Perfect match.
Perfect match.
Wow.
You're just weird.
Yes.
Anyway, just briefly, what I was going to make a point of. What's this?
Is that Gujarati music? That's not your national anthem, is it?
No.
National anthem.
Yeah, because when he's unveiled as the lost Maharaja of Gujarat.
Of Rajasthan.
Rajasthan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rajasthan.
So I want just quickly on the point of heritage and stuff like that. So I was speaking to my mum the other day about, obviously, so new baby is going to have physical characteristics of me, physical characteristics.
They can obviously adjust that in the womb if you're lacking in some areas. But let's move on.
Good. Man, you are okay. But what I thought was personality, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I was involved with Isabel growing up, and so part of my characteristics and personalities would have imparted on her. Right?
Sure.
But what if I'm not involved this time?
Yeah.
Right? Will it have
nature or nurture?
Nature or nurture? Will it have any of my personality? And my mum said that she was thinking the other day, so I'm starting to write my book, and strangely enough, she thought about it a few days before I'd had this conversation with her, that my granddad, her dad, who I must have probably met a dozen times in my life, lived in Scotland, passed away when I was 18, never spent a great deal of time with him ever, was left-wing, socialist, active socialist, which clearly didn't pass down to my mum because she reads the Daily Mail. And that he was a brilliant writer.
Okay. What was his name?
What, my granddad? John McGill. He's not... You reckon you can find him?
Oh, I wasn't going to, but I'll give it a go.
I mean, we're talking John McGill, McGill. I mean, I don't know if you're going to find him.
Is this on Ancestry now?
McGill.
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 Okay. He was a Catholic bishop.
Not that one.
No.
But I thought it was interesting because I'm writing my book and I'm quite left-wing.
Yeah.
And I never got any of that from my parents. I mean, my mum's become more right as she's gotten older, but I just thought, isn't that interesting? I wonder if that's where I get that part of me from.
Well, I think what we can do, we can stop the pod now.
Yeah.
We can wait for Ash to carry out his bits.
Yeah.
A bit.
And then,
carry out his bit.
And then, that leads on to the sexual dating thing.
Nicely.
But then what we can do, we'll do an Ash special.
Yeah.
The grand revealing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
And then why don't we do one of yours?
Okay.
And one of mine.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And why don't we do Who Do You Think You Are?
Who do you think you are special?
Who the F do you think you are?
You can F off if you want.
Yeah.
But what?
That's
has
brilliant.
That been done?
No.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So how long do you say it takes?
I don't know, a couple of weeks, I think.
Look, it's not going to change the relationship between us three if there is some royalty on my side, okay?
You reckon?
Oh, you're not going to do a...
Oh, no, there'd be definitely criminality on my side.
You're not going to do a Danny Dyer.
No, I'm not going to be related to the king. No, there'll be some darkness on my side, I think.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Bit of Guinness. Good. So, well, thank you for that. That was pretty...
You okay now? Has that been good for you?
I wanted to get that out.
Yeah.
I thought.
I know, but I wish you'd have left it till later.
Why?
To get it out.
Yeah. Ding dong. And with that, let's bring this one to a close.
Yeah.
Order that. And
Can you do that every time now?
What?
Because somebody recommended that we have a sign off.
Yeah.
A sign
So
off.
can you just every single time now go, and with that,
Yeah. Let's bring this
one
to a close.
And then the orange card, the music comes in.
I think the conversation was very varied.
More relaxed, you said to me the other week. You need a bit more of a...
Yeah.
just a chill.
Yeah.
Well, we've had we've chosen
but we didn't
topics
want
like
you to
4.
be in your boxes though, Stu.
I'm not in my boxers.
Well,
I ain't got the tight-fitting T-shirt.
Who knows? Only we know.
Well, we know, yeah, it's true.
So here it is. It's the podcast nobody asked for. 3 guys in a kitchen, drinking coffee and having a chat.